Travel back in time with a trip inside the Iowa's News Now vault.
Not bombs. That was the theme of this rally that attracted nearly 200 protesters. It was a march against Reaganomics. The marchers included senior citizens, homemakers, and union workers who were upset with President Reagan's budget plans. Plans they say will cut social programs, reduce education spending, and not fight unemployment.
This is the least effective administration for human services and human caring that we've had in a very long time.
Collins is president of Citizens for Community Improvement. She says there won't be much improvement in the communities if the president's policies are adopted. She says it's back to butter versus guns, with people being the ultimate losers.
55 cents of every tax dollar goes into the military. So there's only 45 cents left of every tax dollar to do the other human services and social service work that the government is responsible for.
One sign here read, "Trickle down on me." These protesters want to see the economy improve, but so far it hasn't. And with the president's proposal to trim $30 billion in social programs next year, they don't look for things to get better. Wade Wagner, 2 Action News, Cedar Rapids.
County farmer Stan Geiken, the most excitement came from grinding feed for his hogs. While protesting farmers outside the state capitol in Des Moines got most of the attention, Geiken says the majority of farmers stayed home.
I think most farmers really aren't that concerned about that type of a protest. Those that are, of course, are welcome to do as they wish, but I think most of us would sit by the sidelines in that type of aspect rather than being an upfront public type of march or something. That just goes against the grain of most farmers, I think.
Geiken admits there are some serious problems in agriculture. Low commodity prices, high interest rates, and rising production costs have squeezed some out of business. But he says government aid is not the answer.
My feeling about government involvement in agriculture would be as a regulatory type of body, to make sure that the marketplace is a safe one in which to operate. But as far as setting prices, trying to establish basically what our commodities are worth, I want the marketplace to do that, not the government.
It's been said many times that the squeaky wheel gets the grease. And although protesting farmers in Des Moines did their best this morning, with most farmers right at home, it's doubtful that squeak was even heard. Chuck Shalane, 2 Action News, Benton County.
This is Roger Riley. The day began early for some eastern Iowa protesters who boarded a bus at the United Auto Workers Union Hall in Waterloo. Once in the capital city, they joined over 1,000 marchers from around Iowa representing farm groups, unions, as well as the Catholic Church. The demonstrators wanted the president to know they were unhappy with his aggressive stand on defense and the lack of jobs.
Although the closest the president came was several blocks away, the protesters hoped that their vocal numbers would serve to get their message across.
Give me a J! Give me an O! Give me a B! Give me an S! What do we want? What do we want?
I can't believe that Ronald Reagan can miss the message that was given to him today, that people want jobs, they want heat in the winter, that they are sick and tired of the way they are running this administration.
After it was over, some UAW members from Cedar Rapids felt it was worth their long trip and a brisk march through the cold.
I think we broke up a little soon, but as long as he knew we were here and paid any attention to us at all, I think it was worth the trip.
Roger Riley, 2 Action News, Des Moines.
Although Mr. Reagan was in Iowa to sell his new Federalism program, he first lashed out at critics of his new budget proposals that were released last weekend. The president says his budget is misunderstood.
There will be no general budget cut this year, and there was no budget cut last year. Even before the budget came out, you could hear the sound of knees jerking all over Washington. The knee-jerk reactions and instant analyses were as hasty as they were incorrect. Despite all the talk, there is a deafening silence on alternatives.
He told the Iowa legislators that his plan will return government to the people.
Our initial program includes the transfer to the states of more than 40 federal programs in the areas of education, development, and social services. But the centerpiece of the proposal is the almost dollar-for-dollar swap of 2 of the largest areas of welfare. The federal government would take over Medicaid in exchange for state assumption of aid to families with dependent children and food stamps.
Reagan again refuted his critics, calling opponents of the new federalism elitists.
First, the elitists who fought the tax cuts, saying the American people could not be trusted with an increased share of their own earnings. Now they say the people we elect to state and local office can't be trusted to run state and local affairs.
Bill George, 2 Action News.
He was welcomed to a packed House chamber with thunderous applause. It was no secret why he requested to speak before the joint session. He came to sell his new federalism program. And Iowa was always considered to be friendly turf for the president, Governor Ray referring to him as somewhat of a hometown boy.
I'm not here to promise miracles, but I believe we can promise progress. So I have come to Des Moines to consult with you, to seek your counsel and your support as together we take the high road to national recovery and renewal.
He talked of what is considered the most radical shift in governmental authority since the New Deal, his federalism program.
Our initial program includes the transfer to the states of more than 40 federal programs in the areas of education, development, and social services. And we want to send back the tax sources to pay for them as well.
The president also defended his new budget, a budget that has the highest deficit in history, almost $92 billion.
I'd like to pause here a moment and clear up a couple of things about the budget proposal we sent to Congress yesterday. So if the reporters would pick up their pencils and the TV correspondents would turn on the cameras, I have an announcement. There will be no general budget cut this year, and there was no budget cut last year. What we did and what we are doing is reducing the rate of growth in federal spending. What we're doing is bringing old-fashioned discipline to the budget.
The president said in the coming weeks that he will look for guidance from the state legislators as we fashion a new framework for partnership in government. During the 20-minute address, the president was interrupted by applause 5 times. The response from this joint session was polite, but not overly enthusiastic. For reaction to the president's speech, here is Dave Shay.
Legislative reaction to the president's speech ranged from cautious to cool. Some Republicans said that they like the president's ideas in theory, but want to see his specific legislative proposals. Democrats range from skeptical to openly critical.
I don't hear much concern from my constituents about the technicalities of new federalism. They're worried about how they're going to meet their bills and how they're going to work the next day.
Did you hear anything new in the speech?
No, I didn't hear anything at all that surprised me.
I was very pleased with the speech. I think he said what we wanted to hear. He reassured us that when he transferred programs, he was going to send dollars back with those programs. He said there would be no winners or losers among the states, but they were cognizant of the necessity of bringing those programs back, letting us promulgate the rules, and putting that kind of a show on the road. The ball's in our court, and I think we can handle it.
I thought it was almost more in the nature of a campaign speech. I had hoped to see some of the framework of the new federalism, but he talked about 40 years of governmental mismanagement. I still don't know precisely what it is they intend to shift to the states.
Well, I think he appealed to the basic instincts of Iowans and Americans, that which is good, and made them feel that they themselves are going to control their own destinies.
Do you expect bipartisan support for the president's new federalism?
Yes, I would expect bipartisan support, at least from governors, for the new federalism. I would also expect many questions to be raised that will have to be answered by many who like the new federalism but have tremendous concern about how we're going to be able to finance needed programs in the future.
In short, new federalism is so far just some general ideas in which to start debate. Even its supporters say action, if there is any, won't really start for at least a year. There were others in Des Moines wanting to be heard not on new federalism, but on Reaganomics.